Hi there. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to ask you an important question. Are you wondering why your hard work isn't reflecting in your bank account? If so, I've got something that could change the game for you. With my Digital Product Accelerator one-on-one coaching program, I'm on a mission to help entrepreneurs like you bank consistent revenue without sacrificing your time or sanity. Imagine shifting from 90% client-facing work to enjoying consistent revenue from your digital products, all while reclaiming your time. You already know that you don't need another course, and a one-size-fits-all approach isn't going to cut it. What you need is a strategic, long-term plan tailored just for you. So if you're ready to build the profitable, freedom-giving business you've dreamed of, apply to work with me by going to destinycop.com/apply. I cannot wait to learn more about you and your business. Welcome to the Course Creators MBA podcast. I'm your host, Destiny Cop, and in this podcast, we're talking about actionable tips to grow your online course business. But before I begin, I want to let you know that this episode is sponsored by my Course in a Box program, which helps you create your revenue-generating course in less than a week. Course in a Box is on the AppSumo marketplace at a special deal, and the link for Course in a Box on AppSumo is in our show notes. And today I'm talking with Kate Doster, and we're going to be chatting about how to organize your business with Trello, even if you constantly lose everything. And Kate is the person, if you have 15 tabs open right now and you never wear socks that match, she is the productivity lady for you. You will see Kate's zone of genius isn't organization. In fact, she's a wild child creative copywriter turned course creator who kept missing deadlines, skipping over crucial steps in her launches, and lived in a consistent state of digital clutter. It wasn't until Trello entered her life as a solopreneur that things finally started to come together. Think about it. Never missing emails, actually finishing up paid products, and publishing and promoting her podcast, Inbox Besties, every single week, even when things got crazy. Kate, I'm so excited to chat with you today. Thanks so much for joining me.
I'm so excited to be here. So normally, like it said in the lovely intro that you had for me, usually I talk about like email marketing and sales psychology and mindset and all this, but like Trello has really been like the backbone of my business. Like 100%, it is what I outsourced first. Shoot, I always say that Trello was my VA for the longest time.
And that was actually one of the first questions I had for you. I know that people, and I knew you when I first met you. I knew you for your email marketing. I think I bought one of your email marketing courses, and I know you've done a lot of copywriting. How did you actually get into productivity and organization?
So it was out of sheer necessity and will. So I am not the type of person that has like color-coded binders and a label maker. And like, even if like I do get into like one of those spurts, because most of us naturally like disorganized people will have like, a cool, I'd say like 3 days where like we're all super like hyper organized, but it's not the way that my brain was wired at all. And so I tried Asana, tried ClickUp, tried like everything out there, and even like Airtable. And it wasn't until I found Trello that it just made sense for my brain. And I'm like, other people who are super uber creative like I am, who are always late for things, like I said, don't wear socks that match, like I think they need to know about this. And even though this isn't my vertical or my niche, I was just talking to my audience about it and like letting them know like, these are the results that I'm getting. Like my traffic was going up, my sales were going up. Like I just felt better. I was getting more opportunities. And I'm like, I think it's because my back end is managed. Like, do you guys want these Trello boards? And they're like, yes. So that's how it started.
So I'll have to admit, I'm kind of a closet organized type person. Like I'm the type of person when you go into my closet, everything is like in its own spot. And you go into my kitchen, I have all this like organizer stuff in my kitchen. So this kind of stuff really, really geeks me out. even my like computer files, I keep them pretty organized.
No.
But tell me a little bit, because I've tried Airtable. I'm not familiar with ClickUp, but I have heard, I mean, I'm familiar with it in terms of I've heard about it, but I've never used it. I've used Asana. I've used Trello. So tell me what makes Trello different from those other platforms.
Okay. So I think one is that it's a very visual medium. So the way that Trello is set up is they used to call them teams, but they are transitioning into calling them databases. So just so you guys know, the vernacular may or may not change when we're listening to this episode. And essentially you create boards there. So you can have something like launch board. And the simplest way to sort of set your board up would be something like to do, doing, and done. So as you're doing a task, you can visually like move over the card. So you get that like instant gratification, or you can create a little checklist and again, get that instant gratification that you're doing things. And then really quickly at a glance, you can go ahead and see what still needs to get done. So what's really nice about Trello is because like I said, we've tried utilizing like ClickUp and stuff, and you've got to go through like 80 different menus and like everything is just so complicated. And I'm not a very linear thinker, but I like the reward of Trello. I like the visual aspect. I like the fact that I can so easily drag a picture, drag a PDF, it lands on a card, and now I can't lose it because it's right there.
So I love that. So in I have Trello, and I have used it for certain things. I love Trello. I like the boards that you're talking about because I think I'm a visual person also. Tell me some of the projects that you've put in Trello and how have they helped you accomplish some of your business goals, like what you mentioned, increase sales, increase, maybe it's traffic to your website. Tell me a little bit about how that helped you accomplish those goals.
I could talk about this forever. I don't want to say everything, but it was really sort of everything. So the way that I sort of set everything up and the way that I like to think about entrepreneurship, especially when it's just you, or maybe even you in a VA, is that you need to think of your business as having on like your CEO hat. Sometimes I call it a sombrero, but your CEO hat, and then like your worker bee hat. So the CEO needs to tell the worker bee, which is technically you, what to do. And when you're trying to figure out what to do and actually trying to do it at the same time, there's a disconnect in your brain because your brain doesn't work that way. And so that's how you sort of skip steps and things aren't working out or you're missing stuff. So basically, CEO Kate can come in and I can think to myself in this space, what is every single step that I need to do to say, create a blog post? And you can put in any type of content here, guys. It can be podcast, it can be YouTube videos, it could even be a Facebook Live. And so what you will find, and this is how it can be not only organized, but really motivated, is that to write a blog post, that's not one activity on a to-do list, where on an Asana, for me, it was because I didn't break it down to subtasks, but that's neither here nor there. To write a blog post, you need to create the idea. You need to write an outline. Maybe you don't want to do that, but you actually need to write the thing. You need to get it edited, get it proofread, make sure that you're linking, get your images in there, make sure that your SEO is on point, create those share images for it. Set your feature photos, make sure you've got a freebie in there. Like there are a million steps. So when you are constantly looking at just a plain old to-do list and it says write blog post and you've been looking at it for 3 days and you're mad because it's still on there, you don't realize that maybe you have done like 20 out of the 25 steps to get it done. But with Trello, you can create a card that's a template. And now every time that you want to have a new blog post, you just hit duplicate. And now it's like, oh, okay, I might not have finished my blog post in 3 days, but like I'm almost done. I only have 3 more little things to do. And so it keeps you motivated. So that way you will keep going. So the first thing that I had tackled when it came to Trello was the podcast and the blog post. So I literally sat down from like I said, every nitty gritty detail, and I made it into every Trello, the way that tasks sort of move around are little cards. So I decided that every episode had its card, and then inside those cards, it had a checklist. So I even went so far as to break it down to like, pre-production. So that's, creating the idea, outlining the talking point, all that sort of stuff. And then actually like recording it, making sure that like it was getting put to Dropbox, that it was edited, that the show notes were done. And so when you map out all of those steps, it makes you feel way more accomplished in a day. And so that's where I think that it mentally sort of helped. And now I wasn't constantly searching for like the cover art or even like affiliate links, because I would make sure on my board for the podcast that I had a card in that sort of top left-hand corner that said assets, and it was a link to all of my affiliate links that I needed. So it just made everything so much faster and easier to find. I always said that Trello wouldn't forget. It wouldn't forget things. And then, you can set your due date. So then it puts it into your Google Calendar, and it just made it so much more pleasant, so much more pleasant.
So does it and I don't know this about Trello. Does it automatically load those due dates into your Google Mail?
No. So you need to, I'm trying to think. It's not, they have little like add-ons, if you call it, like almost little apps for your Trello boards. And we can talk about some of the ones that I really enjoy a little bit later on. But essentially what will happen is even without the calendar, they're called power-ups on, you should be able to go into your Trello account and get for each individual board, it has like its own little, they call it like an iCalendar link. So it can either link to your Google Calendar. It can link to your Apple Calendar. You can have one that links to Outlook. Again, I'm an Apple person, so I don't know what Microsoft uses for its calendar, but you can have it linked to that. So that way, anytime you set a due date in Trello, it will automatically set a due date on your actual big calendar as well.
I love that. And I learn something new every day.
Yep. So you just need to do that one tiny little step. So you import it in. This is for Google Calendar because most of us are Google Calendars. If you've ever added a Google Calendar to your own, it's like you just goes like add calendar. You hit the plus button. You put in the little code that Trello gives you, and then it'll go ahead and like, oh, my podcast episode is due on Thursday. Better go see what I need to have done for it. Or oh, it's already set and done. Yay me!
Oh, I definitely need to do that. I didn't even know that existed. And I'm sure that you've used this to create, I know you have online courses, so I'm sure you've used this system to create an online course and even launch it. Tell me a little bit more about that and how you've used it to create your revenue generating courses.
Excellent. So this is 2 separate boards. So we'll talk about course creation first.
Okay.
So I love creating courses utilizing Trello because, and I know that you teach this, as well, you sort of have to do that brain dump of things that you're going to include in your course. And then a lot of people will tell you to use like note cards. And like, I have no problem with like writing things out, but again, I lose things. I have 2 young kids. I do not have the sheer table space to have a whole desk with all these note cards on it and them to stay there for any long extended period of time. It's not going to happen. What I do have is a Trello board. So every single idea that I have will get its own unique card. You can set up little columns. So like we talked about before, how you can have like doing, to do, done, but you can set up little columns that are something like, module 1, module 2, module 3. You can even just have that one column and you can rearrange your card. I always have an extra or a nice to have or like supplemental category. So I might be like, oh, like I want to talk about like this in the course and this in the course and this in the course. But course creep is a real thing, right? So I'll sort of shove that card over there. I can add a little sticker to it if I wanted to. I can give it a little fun visual label just to draw some attention to it. So I really love it for that brain dumping phase sort of first. And that's the way I have my columns set up. So then once I actually have like, okay, this is going to be the structure of the course. This is how I'm going to do it because I can't outline in a Google Doc. My brain just doesn't work that way. But with Trello cards, I can sort of outline where I want to go. Then from there, once I sort of have where the course looks like it, and I'm sure this is overkill, but it's the way I like to do it. I'll then go ahead and I'll duplicate the Trello board. So I've got one that's just sort of like, this is going to be the structure of the course. And then I have what I call my working board. And so then now I can go ahead and I can assign due dates to things like, okay, I decided that in module 1, I'm going to have these 5 lessons. the goal and outcome of these, each lesson is this. Each lesson's going to have a worksheet. So now I can have a checklist on there to make sure, and I can give it a due date. Like, okay, I can see at a glance that I need to make sure that the worksheets are getting done for lesson 2 and 3, but like everything else is done and recorded. So I will have one that says outline, if I'm going to outline it. Usually it's slides, proof slides. These are all checklist items. Again, I like to go really granular because my brain needs that reward. So it's easy to see, but it's nice to get granular. And then it will be like, you get the slides back, record, edit, upload, workbook, proof, upload workbook, like all of those sort of check things. So every lesson will now have its own little card. It can have its due date. The checklist items, because this is a big thing, if you want individual checklist items, like say record lesson and upload lesson to have its own separate due date on the checklist, you're going to have to pay for the bigger version of Trello. But for what I found for most people, as long as they have like lesson 1 due date is Friday, they'll just go in and be like, oh, do I still need to do this video or do I need to do that? So I don't think that you necessarily need to get that granular, though some people do like it. But as a solopreneur, it's not like you're assigning tasks to anybody else but yourself. So you're usually pretty good with that. And so that's the way that I'll go, and I'll see all my check boxes and I'll be super excited. Again, I won't forget to make a worksheet. I'll even go so far as to, once a worksheet is created, depending on what level of Trello you have. For most people, you can get Trello Gold. I think it's trello.com/gold. They don't advertise it, but it is like $5 a month. And I think that it is really powerful for what you need. So I'll go and I'll drag my PDFs on there. Granted, I know that they're in a Google Drive somewhere. I host all my stuff on Podia. So like, yeah, they're going to be in Podia, but I just like having all of it together very easily, very visual. And then for my launches, I will map out my launch plan. So we have a couple of different launch boards that I've created, ones that are sort of webinar based, ones that are challenge based. So then you would do like the same thing, like, okay, like what is sort of that pre-launch content? Okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this. I'll even go so far as to plan out like my social media. Sometimes I'll drag in the image. I'll write like the quote on the quote card. So again, I can see everything. I can have links to the Google Docs that have the emails. I can make sure that even though the emails are written, that they're actually like scheduled in Active Campaign and things like that. If I'm going to do a webinar, there's a lot of parts to a webinar, right? Like you've got to, create the landing page, create the thank you page. If your software doesn't have a calendar button, you've got to create the calendar button. You've got to create that welcome email that gives it to people. You've got to create your slide deck and your content for it and make sure your tech is set up. And again, it's all of these things that you could very easily forget or be like, did I actually send people that email? Yeah, I sent that email because I see right on here, I wrote it and it's scheduled. So I'm good.
Hey there, Destiny here, and I'm the host of the Creators MBA podcast. And this episode is brought to you by HelloContent.shop, your go-to destination for content creation in your online digital product business. I understand how busy you are as an online business owner. I am right there with you. And that is why I have filled our Hello Content Shopify store with low-cost digital products that you can use as a lead magnet or part of your paid programs like your online courses or memberships. We also have marketing templates like email swipe files and social media templates designed to save you time and money. So whether you're looking to streamline your content strategy, enhance your digital products, or just save some precious time, I've got you covered, my friend. Now visit the HelloContent.shop today and take the first step towards effortless content creation. And I like what you said earlier about getting granular. Not only does that help you not to miss any important deadlines, but it also gives you that sense of accomplishment when you can go hit that complete button or, basically knock it off and say, this is done. There's something in your brain that just goes off and you feel like, ta-da, that's done. I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Exactly. You can get granular without being overwhelmed. And that was one of the biggest things that I didn't like about ClickUp is that when you try to get granular with that, it gets too granular and like you literally can't find anything and you can't see anything at a glance, where with Trello, even though you get really granular in your checklist, it's really easy. Even if you create columns up at the top that's like record video, video recorded, video uploaded, and you physically move that lesson card along, you can go that way. So then when it's done, like, it's just like, oh, okay. So I see that I already have, lesson 4 and 5, they're recorded, but they need to be edited. 2 and 7, they're already set. It's over there. I like the quickness of being able to go big picture, little picture in like 2 seconds.
So let me ask you this. So some people out there that might not be as organized as, some of us, like myself.
I was going to say, look,
they might have it on their New Year's resolution or a goal in 2021 to get organized and, take control of that aspect of their life, especially in their business. What best advice would you have for them?
I would say, 1, cut yourself some slack, because a lot of it is that mindset of, oh, I'm always a disorganized person. Oh, I can never get this. Oh, nothing sticks. I would say that you are going to, even though I'm a huge advocate for Trello, you're going to need to try on all of those project management systems for a little while to see if it works. I wanted to love Airtable because it's so powerful. It had too many bells and whistles and I got distracted and nothing got done. Trello was simple, yet had just enough features that could really, truly work for me. So 1, I would say, test out different things. Realize that you are not broken. Like, it's not you. It's just like your systems. You're starting from scratch. So cut yourself some slack is number 1. Number 2, after you find the one that you like, which again, I'm partial to Trello, then pick one process, usually one habitual thing, if you will, in your business to sort of break down. So again, I started with my piece of content. It was my podcast episodes. For you, it could be those blog post episodes. It could be a Facebook Live series that you do. And then go from there. And then it's like, oh, okay. So once you have all like the minutia things, and now you can't forget because Trello can't forget. Now, all of a sudden, every time you have a great blog post idea, you've got a system to put it into. So it's like, oh, now I know all of a sudden what I have coming up down the road, and I'm not just last minute scrambling for something and some episode. It's like, oh no, this week I need to make sure that I schedule an episode about open rates because that's what Trello is telling me to do. So that's what I'm going to do. So pick one of your processes and go from there. Maybe for you, you're pretty good about getting your content out on time, or maybe for your own business, it doesn't matter. Then start on those revenue generating activities. Like you said, start using it to map out your course, to set your due date, to make sure that you're actually scheduling things for your launch. Heck, you can even use pictures of your Trello board to like tease out the course that you have coming. Like, pixelate the board and be like, ooh, something special's coming, and it'll be fine. So start with one thing. Usually people go with a content calendar. You can always start with a goals board, but I feel for most people, if you are, I don't want to say a lot of us that are disorganized don't like to plan too far in the future, but sometimes because we're so spur of the moment and passionate and we listen to our intuition, trying to plan out the next 90 days is like daunting. And it's just like, but what if this happens? What if this happens? But I feel starting with your content or a paid piece of content like a course is a great Trello board to start with.
I love all that advice. And let me ask you this. I know you have other people that work with you. Has having a system like the Trello system helped you work better with your team?
It did. 100% it does. So like I said, and depending on the different levels of Trello, like again, no tool is perfect. Spoiler alert. We did, as the team got bigger, we did have a little bit of issues with sort of those checklist items, getting them actual due dates. But what was really nice about it is that everyone could see what they were responsible for. So we could still tag people in checklist items. People could see what other people had done because Trello will update in real time. So we also, one of the add-ons for Trello that they have is their automation tool called Butler. So like on the free plan, I think you can use a couple automations that they have, but on Gold, you can use pretty much everything they've got. So like I had it when I did hire a team that after I checked off everything having to do with audio for the podcast for Inbox Besties, it automatically moved it over to the column that said ready for editing, and it tagged my podcast editor. And I also had it where I would put in my audio file on Dropbox, and then I would link the Dropbox to the card. So she has everything that she needs. So then it's like, okay, when her part's done and it goes to our social media manager to create the graphics, now all of a sudden they have a card that's got all of the contacts that they need, the URLs for things. Our podcast editor at one point was making some graphics. But now the social media person, they get tagged because they got moved over there. The due date gets changed, and it worked out so well for us that way. So well.
So that is perfect example of why you need systems like Trello or Asana or whatever you want to use when you move from that solopreneur type situation that you might be in today to hiring others, whether it's a VA or anybody else on your team, like your podcast editor.
Exactly.
So,
and it's like, oh, okay.
No, I didn't want to interrupt you there. I know we have a new promotion coming out called Back to Business Bundle. You want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. And ironically, if you guys want to run a free bundle like we're doing, you all can get a free board for it for Trello, of course. So the Back to Business free bundle is basically, I would say it's for 2 weeks. I twist the arms of some of the best, brightest, smartest, like Destiny's, online business owner pals that I have that are also all dedicated to help people with online courses and digital products. And I get them to give me some of their best stuff completely for free for 2 weeks. So essentially, if you guys are listening to this between February 22nd and March 5th, if you head over to backtobusinessbundle.com, it'll ask you for your email address. Once you get that, then you'll be able to go to our gift claim page and you can get amazing courses, templates. I'm giving away 30 newsletter templates completely for free. You click the I want that button. It brings you to my landing page. You sign up for it. It's not like we are sharing your email address with everyone. The only thing is you only have until March 5th to claim all the prizes that you want. Destiny has an amazing one about Facebook ads. I know that it is like, it's already a super fan favorite. They love everything Destiny in the Back to Business bundle. Like I said, it's for 2 weeks. We have Kristen Miller who gives away one of her smaller products about like starting summits, which is fantastic. We have a gift about mindset. We have one that I think you guys will really like if you're into Trello. I give away some Trello boards, but I have another one of my colleagues who she is giving away her like mastering Gmail and Google course. So it's like how to maximize Gmail, how to maximize like your Google Drive folder. Like it's a really great course. So I think that you guys will really appreciate that one. We've got stock photos that you can get for free. We have Pinterest templates from Kate from Simple Pin Media that you guys can get for free. It is quite the event. Like I said, I can only get people to give me their paid stuff for free for like 2 weeks. And that's what makes it so special. Nothing like a one-page PDF or like a quiz or like somebody's webinar. No, this is like either it's a paid product or pulled from a signature paid product.
And we will make sure all of those links are in the show notes. So the Back to the Business Bundle link will be in the show notes. And also, Kate, I will link to your Trello Magic course. So if anybody's interested in that, they can grab that. And where else can people find you, Kate?
Excellent. So I love Trello Magic. She's such a great one. So that one is if you're like, oh my goodness, I can't even bear the thought of like breaking down everything that goes into a podcast or YouTube channel or a launch. I do it all for you in Trello Magic. So all you need to do is just hit copy the board and you're off to the races. So the best place is wherever you're listening to this right now, search for Inbox Besties. That's my podcast where we talk everything about email marketing, sales psychology, mindset. We have amazing guests on who didn't, talking about social media and stuff. Well, guys, we'll see when you get over there. I am just starting to hang out more on Instagram. So you can look for me, Kate_Doster. And if it's after the Back to Business bundle, we'll make sure to put a link in the show notes as well. I have 2 years worth of email ideas because like I said, that's usually my main thing. But I feel like more people that are creative need to know about Trello and have it set up for our brains. So we'll go ahead and we'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. So now you won't have to worry about what am I doing today or what to send your email list.
And we will make sure all those links are there. Kate, thank you so much for joining us. Do you want to have one last minute thing you want to say to the listeners?
Don't get so overwhelmed and so overcomplicating your systems that you never end up using them. That is the biggest problem is people will procrastinate plan. And I need you guys to take 5 minutes to plan, but I need you to do 10 minutes of execution. Like Trello is only going to work if you do the work around it. It doesn't matter if you've got the Trello boards from Trello Magic or if you decide to set them up yourself in an afternoon. If you are not using them and they are not set up in a way that is conducive to the way you work, it's not going to happen. So know yourself and take action.
Thank you for that, Kate. Course creators, thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any questions about Course in a Box, which is offered on AppSumo, please reach out to me or DM me on Instagram. I hope you enjoyed this episode with Kate. Would love for you to rate and review the podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcast platform and show us some love there. Have a great rest of your day. Bye for now.